Training for Apollo 11 is extremely intensive. You have the training for all the launch phase and all of the aborts that may occur. You had the training for what you were going to do on the surface of the moon, the extravehicular operation. Every phase of the mission.
Only Armstrong and Aldrin will walk on the moon. But mission planners are giving them plenty to do when they get there.
We were all going through geology training, and frankly, it was a real eye-opener to me. But somehow it just seemed a little make-believe for us to be geologists for that brief period of time. So I felt some of the training that we did was not really a charade. It was more put on for show for the cameras and the people watching. And yeah, we'll go through these exercises. I guess that is a little bit the way I looked at it.
The public's appetite for the new celebrities of space is insatiable and exhausting.
About 2 weeks before launch, you're in your almost fine count. You're getting ready for the flight readiness review, and we have an enormous stack of checklists and procedures and flight plans that we go through. What you want to do is you want to get away from it all and then start going through your own personal preparation, your countdown, your last few simulations. So it's really essential to find some quiet time.
8 years, 1 month, and 22 days after John Kennedy challenged America to land a man on the moon, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins are ready to fly.
The astronauts then sat down to breakfast. They had a menu of filet mignon, scrambled eggs, toast, coffee, and tea. This is Apollo launch control. We're still aiming toward our planned liftoff at the start of the lunar window, 9:32 a.m. Eastern Daylight.
All the flights can be looked at as a dangerous endeavor. You're flying machines, and machines break. Nobody, wrung their hands about, oh my God, why am I doing this? I mean, well, look at this thing, all this thing can go wrong, and all this thing can break, and it's crazy, let's don't do it. But I mean, everybody's standing in line, let's go. If you don't want to go, I'll go.
This is Apollo launch control, T-minus 3 hours, 4 minutes, 32 seconds, and counting. Right on time as far as the astronaut countdown is concerned. The prime crew now departing from their crew quarters here at the Kennedy Space Center. The transfer van now departing on the start of its 8-mile trip to Launch Pad A here at Complex 39. Right now, our count at 3 hours, 3 minutes, and counting.
Well, my position in the launch was going to be in the center, with Neil on the left in the commander's position and Mike Collins on the right. But that meant that I would be the last one to be put into the spacecraft.
Astronaut Edwin Aldrin will stand by in the elevator, seated in a chair, while his 2 comrades first board the spacecraft.
So I had my little air conditioning unit all by myself, and I could look out and see the sun beginning to come up, and I could sort of see the evidence of people out there gathered to watch. I could see them, and they couldn't quite see me, I guess.
Once Armstrong and Collins are aboard, then Aldrin will be called, and he will take the middle seat in the spacecraft.
This was a lonely situation. Here I am on the outside of this rocket. We're going to be on the inside pretty soon, and we're not going to see the outside again anymore if things go right.
This is Apollo Saturn Launch Control. We passed the 6-minute mark in our countdown for Apollo 11, the flight to land the first men on the moon. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues. Firing command coming in now. We're on an automatic sequence as the master computer supervises hundreds of events occurring over these last few minutes. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6.
Once the spacecraft rockets out of Earth orbit, the moon is a 3-day journey.
The crew is the tip of the iceberg. In Apollo 11, there were 400,000 people underneath that all had to do their job or we weren't going to make it. And I think every crew realized that. It was a team effort of NASA that got us to the moon.
These are probably the finest systems engineers at the world. They're all young. Average age was 26. I was the oldest guy that day. I was 36. Okay, guys, it's now time to get down to business. We're about ready to land a man on the moon. And I start talking to him because I feel compelled to talk. I was probably the most emotional of the flight directors. From the day of our birth, we were met for this time and place. And today, we will land an American on the moon. Whatever happens here today, I will stand behind every decision you will make. We came into this room as a team, and we will leave as a team. And I tell my ground controller to lock the control room doors. And from now on, no person will leave or enter this room until we have either landed, we have crashed, or we have aborted. Those are the only 3 outcomes from this time on.
The first thing, obviously, that we're going to have to do is to undock from the command module.
Roger, how does it look?
And then we rotated around so that Mike could sort of make a quick check of our landing gear.
Let's say everything's going just swimmingly. Beautiful.
Then the first thing we need to do is establish communication with the Earth.
Houston Eagle, how do you read? Bye-bye, Eagle. We're standing by for your burn report, over. Roger, the burn was on time.
Tempo in the room picks up right as we acquire spacecraft telemetry, and we immediately got problems.
X and Z notes.
We got communications problems you cannot believe.
Columbia, Houston, we've lost all data with Eagle. Please have him reapply on the high gain, over.
We couldn't communicate with the lunar module. Mike Collins could, because he could see him. He could point his antennas at him and talk to him. So what we would do is we would say, Mike, have the crew select a different antenna.
We've lost him. Tell him to go ask Omni, over.
Take Omni Bravo or Omni Delta. Will you roll the spacecraft a little bit for us? He'd roll the spacecraft, we'd get data.
Eagle, Houston, we recommend you yaw 10 right will help us on the high gain signal strength, over. Yeah, you should have him now, Houston. Eagle, we got you now. It's looking good, over.
And at descent minus 5 minutes, I give the go for a powered descent.
You go to continue powered descent. You're a go to continue powered descent.
The descent was very tricky business. Our plan was to start about 50,000 feet altitude, 3,000 miles per hour, to use one continuous rocket burn to decelerate to a hover in the landing area.
Eagle, Houston, everything's looking good here, over.
Throttle up. And I get confirmed throttle up, and telemetry drops out again. And I'm back in this ground roll. Do I have enough information to continue the descent or not?
Okay, all flight controllers, gonna go for landing. Retro, go. Rhino, go. Guys, go. Control, go. Telcom, go. GNC, go. Ecom, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing. Houston, you're a go for landing, over. Program alarm.
And about that time, we got a computer alarm of
1202.
1202.
1202.
The computer was giving us trouble.
It was a big attention getter. My first thought, oh no, we've lost it. We're not going to make it.
All we had was 1202, which is kind of disconcerting. You lose information, plus you've got an alarm, and you don't really know what it is.
Give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm.
I was reaching for my checklist to turn to this program alarm when the guidance guy, Steve Bale, said, "We're go, flight," on that alarm. Gene took his word. You know, okay, we're go. He didn't ask for explanation. We're go.
Roger, we got you. We're going at alarm.
Now the landing radar can begin to pick up range and velocity of the ground beneath us, and it compares that with what the computer thinks it ought to be, and there's a big difference.
Hold on. Our position check downrange to us to be a little off. Roger. 1201. 1201.
Well, it's extremely serious. Is the computer breaking? Is it telling us it's not functioning right?
1201. Roger, 1201 alarm.
What is the alarm telling us?
We're go. Same type. We're go.
Same type. It was a different number, but same type. He said, same type flight, we're go.
47 degrees. Roger.
The computer was so busy, and it couldn't get all the jobs done, so it was dropping off these other little jobs down on the end and not doing them, which were jobs that weren't really that critical.
Just as Mission Control decides to ignore the computer alarms, the LEM sends another strange signal.
37 degrees.
We just saw this strange trajectory that we'd never seen in training.
300 feet down, 3.5. 47 forward.
He went down to about 400 feet, stopped his descent, and leveled off and started flying horizontally across the moon. He didn't tell us, but out the window what they were seeing was a big boulder field.
Our computer was steering us toward football stadium-sized craters, surrounded by steep slopes and covered with very large boulders.
50 down at 2.5. 19 forward. Altitude, velocity, light.
Neil had the one thing we did not have. He had the out-the-window view.
16 forward.
He knew whether he was over a safe place to land
200 feet.
or over a boulder field. My job was to tell him how much fuel he had. And when it had zero, that was our best knowledge. We had 0.
5.5 down. 9 forward.
The fuel states were falling, and we were getting close to what was going to be an abort situation.
100 feet, 3.5 down. 9 forward.
When we got to about 100 feet, the low-level light came on, and Charlie Duke gave us a call of 60 seconds.
Simple call, Eagle, 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
We better get on the ground pretty soon.
And he had 60 seconds to land, and after that 60 seconds, it would be abort.
Down 2.5.
I didn't want to disturb Neil's concentration because I knew he was really working that problem.
2.5. Picking up some dust.
And now the crew is kicking up some dust. So we know they're darn close to the surface, but they were scooting pretty fast across it last time we heard.
4 forward, drifting to the right a little.
We used most of our remaining fuel, finding a relatively level and smooth landing spot.
Down 1/2. 30 seconds.
We had 30 seconds to land. I mean, it was deathly silent. Now, I don't think he was going to actually abort. I mean, that wouldn't have been the right stuff.
Contact light. Okay, engine stop. HJ at a descent.
I looked over at him, and he looked at me, and there was not a great emotion, but there was a smile of satisfaction on both of our faces. And
We shook hands.
413 is in. We copy you down, Eagle. Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.